Hi, this is Jen Bueller. Welcome to DIY Anyone. I hope you're having a great day. So today I took a 3 foot, those baby bath pools, and we had one that had a hole in it. And so I'm thinking, all right, well, let's use some trash to create treasure. And I can't wait for you to see what we did. So first thing I'm going to do is you'll see a little bit of the pool itself. It had a hole there in the bottom. And rather than putting it in the landfill, I confess over the years of raising kids, I've thrown more than one in the landfill, but this one didn't go. So I thought, all right, let's cut it out. And those ridges on the side, I kept seeing pumpkin, pumpkin, pumpkin out of it. So I cut the bottom out, and I'll be using that in another DIY. And then you have those ridges on the side. So then I cut those out and started kind of fitting them together. And look at that. When you take two of those pieces together, it makes this adorable pumpkin. So I took some Waverly chalk paint. I did some moss, and I did some cashew, as you'll see here, which is a beautiful color. And I did some celery. And I decided not to use the white. I went just with those three colors today. And what I did was, I show you the white, but I didn't actually use it. So there it is. Next time. So you see all those blue pieces there. I'd cut them out, and then I'm kind of looking at them and seeing how do they fit best together. And that little wrinkle that you see in them, that'll come out. You can kind of push that out. It wasn't a big deal. Now you can see on the edge there that needed to be rounded a little bit, and then I just kind of played with it until it looked right. And the chalk paint, well, I'll tell you what, before the invention of chalk paint, you just couldn't paint anything because all you had was acrylic paint and it didn't stick to anything. So this Waverly chalk paint just did a marvelous job. And so I went through and painted, and I ended up with two pumpkins of each type. And that used up all but one of those little ridges that went around the baby pool. And let that dry. And then I ended up doing a second coat, just kind of light on all of it, just to get that extra little bit. Excuse me. So we'll let those dry, that you'll see in a minute. And then the next thing we're going to do is kind of fit them together better and make sure that we like the look of them. There's a couple other little things that I need to do some trimming. And as you see kind of at the base, like if you look at that cashew one in the foreground, it has kind of a weird, odd look to it. It doesn't have that rounding that you'd see maybe in a pumpkin. And so we'll go back and kind of trim those things up. Two of those little ridges came together to make one pumpkin. And just let that dry, and here we go. Now, if you're willing, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel and click that bell so that you can get notifications when I create a new video. I've just come up with a bunch of cool new items that I'm working with and can't wait to show you my next Halloween video. I've got some adorable stuff. All right, so you can see that little ridge there. I started to cut it, and then I thought I'd show it where it just didn't curve right. So I just kind of held it up to that other one and then cut it so it would look okay. And then I touched back over in those places where there was some of that blue pool that was showing. And then it's going to be time to glue them together. So I used some hot glue and some E6000. You can see, look how cute that looks. I used some hot glue and some E6000, and on this first one, of course, I did the backwards direction of the, see how nice that fits? It has that nice natural ridge to it. I used the hot glue first and then did the E6000. Well, that's not exactly the wisest way to do that because the hot glue, cools off so quickly. And sometimes that E6000, man, you got to be the Hulk to get that out of that little tube. So with the next one, I reversed the order and I did the E6000 first and then the hot glue. And then I didn't have to worry about the hot glue not holding correctly. But that did give a nice hold, and believe it or not, that heat kind of radiated through the little piece of plastic, so be careful that it's not too hot, that you don't burn yourself. And I just kind of held that and let it sit, and that just has such a nice, natural, nice little bend to it. You'll see on the table there I have the glue gun and then the scissors, and between that is that little tool. I've seen Wendy with White Sparrow Living use it, and I thought it was a white brush, but actually what it is it's a little silicone kind of a I guess it's a makeup spreader. I mean, I know I need lots of makeup and I need to slather it on with a, a, a big old tub of something, but that little brush thing, silicone thing, helps really well to hold the hot glue and then not burn your fingers. So that's a nice little Dollar Tree find that I just went and purchased myself this week, and I really have enjoyed using that. So again, just letting that kind of stick together. And the next thing we're going to do is take some extra of the blue pool that I had and cut different stems, and just play with it and make the stem the angle you want it, or the size you want it, the direction you want it, and hold it up there and kind of see how you like it. And then once I got those kind of to where I thought they looked good, then I did all 6. And then I'm going to go back with twine. And I actually used fairly small twine that I got from the dollar store, the Dollar Tree. And it came in a big roll like that. And it really was easier to work with because it didn't have much body to it. And I could really form it real well to the baby pool piece and make that stem. Again, watch, because it is easier to burn your finger on that. And initially I would start just gluing on one side and just kind of wrap the string, the twine, excuse me. And then as I got to that top, it was hard. So I tried it a different way the next time. And I actually started in the middle and worked, there's a picture of what it looked like. I worked from the middle towards the top, and then I worked back towards the base. And that actually seemed to work pretty well. So you'll see then I just went back through, and you can see how cute it looks with that little stem on there. Just a little bit more rustic look to it, kind of cutesy. And then I went back and did all of the other 5 stems so that they were all done. And then we're going to put it together. So I decided what I was going to do is use one of those metal thankful signs from the Dollar Tree, and then I had some raffia, and this isn't the luau skirt, it's actual raffia, and just take it and tie like a shoestring bow in it, set it to where it looks to the right proportion, and then cut and trim it. And I did that for all 3 pumpkins. Kind of sped that up because it's only a shoestring bow, nothing real fancy. Trim it out so it looks nice, and glue that baby on there. One more to go. And then I saved all those small pieces of raffia because I use them on, there's other ways to use that, which say just little small things when you need just a little bit. So save it all. You never know when just that little bit you can put on a craft and it'll add something to it. So then hot glue those on. Little bit of glue, and the stems did require quite a bit of glue to keep them on there, but they stayed well. So here's the Gartol Miter shears, and I saw those used on with other YouTubers. Thought I'd go ahead and take the plunge. It was about $28 on Amazon, and that's linked below. And then I'm using it to cut some little pieces of dowel, just tiny. I mean, I would say it was probably no more than a 1/4 inch. And I cut 5 or 6 pieces of that. You'll see that. Sorry that's out of the camera there. But so I put my finger on the other side of that. But I'll tell you what, that blade is sharp. So don't put that your finger anywhere near where that blade would cut, because it will cut. And that really snipped right through those dowel pieces beautifully. That was just a small dowel that I had in a multi-pack of dowels that I got at Walmart for very inexpensive. And it had actually some square kind of dowels and round dowels and lots of different diameters, so it was very handy to use. So I cut those small pieces, and the goal of what I'm going to do with those is to put that underneath the thankful sign, because I kind of want it to be raised a little bit just to give more dimension and give more shadow. And you can see just how small they are. It's about the size of a pencil eraser is what I ended up cutting. And then I'm going to take that and glue that to the back of the raised pieces, of the heavier pieces, the thicker pieces of the thankful word, and only the pieces that are going to touch on that center section of that cashew pumpkin. And that's all I'll need to do with that. So I glued those pieces on, kind of had an idea. All right, make sure, all right, how does it look? Did I miss any? Because you can glue other larger pieces of dowel to the other pieces, on the T and the L, but really it's not necessary because just to get that little bit erased, that's all I needed. And then I'm going to show you a kind of a side picture, profile picture. You can see what it looks like from the front and then from the side was just that little bit erased with those 5 little dowels. And I think that just kind of added just that little bit of extra bit to make it look a little more high end. Now, initially, what I thought I was going to do was to put some Jenga blocks behind these and glue them together and have it sit up on a table. And of course, I'm going to be painting the back of all those. I don't show that on the video, but I do spray paint the back of that so it's not that ugly blue. And so I set it there on with my T-square that I have from Dollar Tree, and then I have them glued together, and they just still work, looking kind of janky and not really holding together well. So I thought, all right, let's go ahead and I'm going to get some of the big popsicle sticks, a couple of those, and put a big old crap ton of glue on the back there and get that to hold a little bit better. So we'll do that here in just a second. And those are just the large popsicle sticks that you can get from Lowe's or Home Depot. So I'm going to take a couple of those, glue those on. Now initially, I was going to let this sit up, and I thought I could use some little Jenga blocks and put that down as a little way to make that hold up and just sit by itself. And that was an epic fail. And they didn't even, the blocks, the top of these pumpkins with those stems became so top heavy that the Jenga blocks, I would have needed about 90,000 of them behind there to glue. Or I could have just done like a little picture frame, T sort of thing to do it. And then I decided, nah, I'm just going to make it into a hanging piece. And so you'll see here, the other thing is about this glue stick, with all this glue, be sure and give it plenty of time to dry so it really does hold how you want it to do. I get impatient and I'm like, oh, it's fine. And I start to let go and it's not fine. So if that's the case, then just, put your hand back on it, push back down on it and make sure it holds how you want it. So once that's held, then I'm going to put some, a little hang. I had some kind of cute little, it wasn't regular jute twine, but it was a little braided piece of cord that I had. And I'm going to use that as the hanger. So you can see I've glued that on the top. And I put a little piece of actually seam binding on the back of that just to hold it on better. And there's it. It's all set and ready to hang up. So there we have the little thing. Now I set it down there initially just to show you that it could be set down, but it will be darling hanging up. And I sure hope you enjoyed this. And again, subscribe if you will, and come on back and see us again. And I hope to be having some more exciting videos for you real soon. Have a great, blessed day. And thanks so much. Bye.